Pubic hair appears
What's
during
happening
puberty,
here?
then grows
take a
thick,
closer
coarse,
look.
and often curly. But why does it grow there? Does it protect our sensitive skin? And what actually happens when we shave it off? To answer that, we first need to understand why it appears so suddenly. For most of childhood, this area has only very fine, almost invisible hair. Then puberty begins. Hormone levels change dramatically throughout the body. Androgens begin activating certain hair follicles that were previously producing tiny, soft hairs. Those hairs gradually become longer, darker, thicker, and much more noticeable. The same basic process also happens in the armpits. But something interesting is happening here. Pubic hair doesn't behave exactly like the hair growing on your head. Its growth cycle is much shorter. That's one reason it normally stops growing after reaching a limited length. Its texture is different too. Pubic hair is usually thicker and coarser than most other body hair, and it is often noticeably curly. The shape of the hair follicle helps determine how curved each strand becomes. But understanding how it grows still doesn't explain why we have it. For that, we need to look much further into our past. Our distant ancestors were considerably hairier than modern humans. Thick body hair once covered much more of their skin. But over millions of years, our evolutionary lineage gradually lost much of that heavy covering. Exposed skin became increasingly important for cooling the body efficiently. Sweat could evaporate directly from the skin. That was especially useful during prolonged activity in hot environments. Eventually, humans became unusually hairless compared with our closest primate relatives. Yet we didn't lose everything. Hair remained especially noticeable on the scalp, armpits, and pubic region. That creates an evolutionary puzzle. If losing body hair was useful, why keep thick hair around the genitals? Scientists don't have one perfectly proven answer. Instead, several explanations may work together.
Analyzing the
One of the
biomechanics of
strongest
walking.
involves
See
something
the skin
extremely
surfaces
simple.
gliding together with each step. Note the friction at the inner thigh.
Friction. The groin is an area where skin and clothing frequently rub during movement. Walking creates repeated movement between the thighs and surrounding skin. Running increases it even more. Sexual activity can also create substantial skin-to-skin friction. Pubic hair may help reduce some of that direct rubbing. Think of the hairs as a small physical buffer between moving surfaces. Instead of skin constantly rubbing directly against skin, hair can absorb some movement. That may help reduce irritation in a particularly sensitive region. This wouldn't make pubic hair an essential protective shield, but even a modest advantage could have mattered over evolutionary time. Protection may extend beyond friction. The skin surrounding the genitals is delicate. Hair provides a physical layer between that skin and the outside environment. It can intercept some dirt and particles before they directly contact the skin. But this idea needs an important clarification. Pubic hair is not an antibacterial force field. Microorganisms still live naturally on the skin and hair, and having pubic hair doesn't automatically make someone cleaner or dirtier. Normal hygiene matters much more. There is another clue hidden beneath the hair itself.
Hair shaft,
This region
epidermis,
contains many
hair
apocrine
follicle,
sweat
sebaceous
glands.
gland, dermis, subcutis, apocrine gland secretion.
Similar glands are concentrated in our armpits. These glands become much more active around puberty. That timing is interesting. Pubic hair also develops during puberty. So, both features become prominent around sexual maturity. Apocrine glands release secretions containing proteins and lipids. Skin bacteria can break these substances down. The result contributes to characteristic body odors. Hair can hold some of these secretions close to the skin. It may also influence how those odors disperse. This has inspired another evolutionary hypothesis. Perhaps pubic hair once helped distribute chemical information associated with sexual maturity. Similar odor-based communication is extremely important in many mammals. Humans clearly use smell too, but we should be careful here. The existence of human sex pheromones with powerful, predictable effects remains scientifically controversial. So pubic hair should not simply be described as a pheromone broadcaster. Still, its relationship with scent-producing glands remains an interesting evolutionary clue. There's also another curious feature. Why is pubic hair so often curly?
Follicle beneath the skin layer, gradually extending upward. This natural
Curly strands occupy space differently from straight strands. They can form a loose cushion above the skin. That structure could potentially help with reducing direct contact and friction. But again, evolution rarely leaves us a written explanation. We can test anatomy and physiology directly. Reconstructing exactly why a trait survived for millions of years is much harder. What we can say is that pubic hair is not simply random decoration. Its location, timing, structure, and association with puberty all provide clues. And that brings us to a very modern question. If pubic hair provides benefits, should we remove it? Humans have removed body hair for thousands of years. Different cultures have treated pubic hair very differently. Today, shaving, trimming, waxing, and laser hair removal are all common. But removing pubic hair doesn't automatically make the area more hygienic. Hair itself is not dirt. Cleanliness depends far more on normal washing and personal hygiene. Removing the hair also removes some of its physical buffering effect. Usually that isn't a serious problem. Modern clothing and hygiene have changed the environment our skin experiences. Millions of people remove pubic hair without major complications.
The safety razor.
But shaving can create some problems of its own.
Cutting the hair cleanly, leaving the follicles intact. Watch out for a tiny micronick.
A razor passes extremely close to delicate skin. Sometimes it creates tiny cuts that are barely visible. The skin may become red or irritated afterward. Then the hair starts growing back. And occasionally a new hair curls back into the skin. That's an ingrown hair. The result can be a small, painful, inflamed bump. Follicles can also become irritated or inflamed. Waxing removes hair differently. Instead of cutting the strand, it pulls the hair from the follicle. The results generally last longer than shaving, but temporary irritation can still occur. Laser hair removal goes further. It targets pigment associated with the hair follicle using concentrated light. Repeated treatments can substantially reduce future hair growth. But it isn't simply an upgraded razor. Skin tone, hair color, equipment, and technique can all affect results and risks. Temporary redness and irritation can occur. Pigment changes and other skin injuries are also possible. So permanent or long-term hair reduction is mainly a personal choice. It isn't something the human body requires for better hygiene. Nor does keeping pubic hair mean someone is unhygienic. Our ancestors obviously weren't choosing between razors, waxing, and lasers. Their bodies were responding to completely different environmental pressures. And that's what makes this small patch of hair surprisingly interesting. It sits at the intersection of hormones, skin movement, scent, and evolution. It appears precisely when the body enters sexual maturity. Its coarse structure distinguishes it from much of our remaining body hair. It may reduce friction in one of the body's most sensitive areas, and it may preserve traces of an ancient relationship between hair and body scent. No single explanation has completely solved the evolutionary mystery. Pubic hair may have survived because several small advantages work together. Evolution doesn't need a feature to be absolutely necessary. It only needs that feature to persist successfully across generations. Today, our environment is completely different. We wear clothing. We bathe regularly. We have razors, trimmers, wax, and lasers. So keeping or removing pubic hair has largely become a matter of personal preference. Your body can function with it, and it can function without most of it. But its existence still tells a much older story. A story that begins with puberty, reaches back through millions of years of human evolution, and survives today in one of the few places where our bodies never completely lost their hair.